Hi everyone, Tina Bells here, and I have this week's current events post. I picked an article from WBUR.org newsfeed, and the title of the article is On Point Host Tom Ashbrook Dismissed for Creating Abusive Work Environment. The article was featured February 14th. And it is based on the recent firing of Tom Ashbrooks, who is a nationally known a radio host of the On Point show for National Public Radio. The show is a syndicated show across 290 channels and has over 2 million followers. Mr. Ashbrook has been with the local station out of Boston University for 16 years. As you may know, NPR Public Radio has various locations across the country. We have one here in Cleveland at the Idea Stream Center. So you could liken it to he was part of NPR, but also working with a local team through the local radio station. His 16 years with the organization has been fraught with complaints of abusive conduct and sexual misconduct, although the sexual misconduct allegations were not found to have any merit. So he was dismissed for his poor performance with his team and the merit that was found in the 11 current and former station employee complaints that were filed against him. Mostly focused on bullying and just poor management skills. It was interesting given all of the work we've been doing to this point on emotional intelligence and given the need for us to be self-aware, to be self-managing, as well as to be socially aware, and how important all of those things are in creating and maintaining relationships. And this article to me really spoke about the complete lack of emotional intelligence, that this culmination of events and the letting go of this individual who by all accounts seems very talented and seems to be very much loved by his listeners, just really had such poor behavior and poor leadership skills and management skills that he was actually let go, and that the radio station was actually willing to sort of lose him at a time when you think about it, they're competing for listeners against other shows that could be stealing them away. So they got to a point where they didn't care if it really hit their bottom line or not. It was interesting, the statement that Mr. Ashbrook made in the article, and I guess this goes right to the heart of being unaware, lack of self-awareness, if you will. The comment, and I know I'm going to read here for a minute, is, "I'm deeply disappointed by this decision, which I believe is profoundly unfair to both me and the listeners who have been such a part of On Point. I'm sorry to those who found the show's pace and me just too much. I felt a terrible urgency about our country's direction, and that urgency played out, maybe too stringently sometimes, in our workplace. We strove for excellence in really challenging times, and sometimes colleagues' feelings were hurt along the way. I regret that." His lawyer basically said that they felt there would have been other ways that they could have handled this situation instead of allowing it to get to the point where, in fact, the firing of Ashbrook was the only thing that could have made a difference in fixing the situation. What I found very interesting was that at the end of the article, that the summation of this whole thing was listeners. The statement made was listeners lost a good voice, a talented man lost a job, producers maybe gave up their dreams because they didn't feel they could work well in the environment, and managers in this organization now realize they let people down. So at the end of the day, this ought to be a lesson for anyone who wants to run a productive, high-quality workplace, that you can't have powerful people who take out their frustrations in uncivil ways on the people around them. And I think what it is just you can't have people in powerful positions who pretty much have little to no emotional intelligence, which is what we've been studying. So I'm going to issue just a few questions here to spur the conversation. We were required to read an article about leadership that gets results as part of our assignments last week. And if you've gone through that, you may have seen the 6 different leadership styles. So my first question to you is, which style do you think Mr. Ashbrook was actually putting in place? If this was the result and the outcome, what leadership style was really his primary? And then my next question is, do you think there could have been anything else that could have been done if management had just taken the time themselves to work through these issues with Mr. Ashbrook? Do you think there was anything that they could have done in terms of taking an EQ assessment or other types of tests out there or other types of coaching that they could have provided to him to create a win-win for everybody, both employees, station management, and Mr. Ashbrook himself, and ultimately a win for the listeners who would still have him hosting the show that they love? I really look forward to hearing from you on this topic.